ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Chapter 5 analysis. Now, reading Chapter 5 kind of took a while, and I know there was a couple of interruptions, and I'm sorry for that, but do what we can. So, let's just talk for Chapter 5 for a minute. Let's start at the beginning. What do you notice? What's the first thing you notice here? Page 84. Let's go ahead and take a look back at it. All right. When I look at it, I see and I can hear and I can experience because of imagery. Because Steinbeck uses good, clear imagery. I can see, the hay and the pulley. I can see this hay mountain coming down. I can hear the animals nibbling, the horses nibbling. I can see the afternoon sun slicing through the barn slats. The air was lazy and humming. If you've ever been on a barn, ever been in a farm, let's try this again. If you've ever been on a farm or in a barn, there we go, you might have an image in your mind of what this is really like. And I just love. And so I'm going to point out, because good readers, we just like good sentences. And so here at the bottom of page 84, it says, "But in the barn, it was quiet and humming and lazy and warm." I believe that's called a synecdoche. But it's the and. Okay? In the barn, it was quiet and humming and lazy and warm. It's just delightful. It's just a well-written sentence. I love that sentence. All right. So Lennie is in the barn by himself, and he's clearly upset. He has this dead dog, and he's talking to himself. And by speaking to himself, we start to understand, oh, shoot, he killed the dog. And he says to the dog, like, yo, you were going to bite me, and so I was going to bonk you on the head, and I bonked you on the head. And remember, Lennie's just so strong that when he bonked the dog on the head, snapped the dog's neck, killing the dog, which is terribly sad and terribly tragic. But we have to ask ourselves, is Lennie a mean and aggressive individual? No. Did he try and hurt this dog on purpose? Nope. Did he forget how strong he is? Yes. So it's just freak accident. Lennie doesn't know his own strength. Similar to when Lennie grabbed the woman's dress and wouldn't let go. He wasn't thinking about it. Similar to when he's crushing Curley's hand. He has this immense strength that he just kind of forgets about, and he loses control over it for a moment. So Lennie killed his little puppy. Now Lennie's biggest concern is about not being able to tend the rabbits. And again, we haven't really seen any rabbits in this book, but Lennie wants, he hopes, he dreams about having these rabbits that he can take care of someday. And so he's very upset that he will not be able to take care of these rabbits. All right. In walks Curley's wife. And she's like, hey, what are you doing? And Lennie tries. He does give up a good fight. He tries to not talk with her. But, bottom page 86. And this is where it's so important. We've talked about dialect in the story before, but it's so important for you to hear these words. Because if you were reading them, she knelt in the hay beside him. Listen, she said, all the guys got a horseshoe tenement going on. It's only 4 o'clock. None of them guys is going to leave that tenement. Why can't I talk to you? I never get to talk to nobody. I get awful lonely. Lennie said, well, I ain't supposed to talk to you or nothing. I get lonely, she said. You can talk to people, but no. That's not how good readers read. Read the sounds, read the ideas, read the conversation. All the guys got a horseshoe tenement going on. Now, if you look up the word tenement, you might find that the definition is essentially an apartment. Well, that doesn't make any sense. All the guys got a horseshoe apartment going on. Nobody's going to leave that apartment? That's not what? No, it doesn't make any sense. Do you hear the word? Do you hear what the word's supposed to be? Tenement, tenement. They got a horseshoe game. Games are tournaments. Tournament, tournament, tenement. Tournament, yeah, the dialect. Hear the dialogue. Hear how she's saying it. All the guys got a horseshoe tournament going on. Tenement going on. We're lazy with our mouths and we don't pronounce the sounds correctly. So there we go. They got a horseshoe tournament going on. She's saying nobody's going to leave that horseshoe tournament. And then she confides in Lennie. And she says, I get awful lonely. I get lonely. You can talk to people, but I can't talk to anybody. Otherwise, Curly gets mad. We saw this in the last chapter. Remember when they're all hanging out in Crooks's room? And she comes in and she says, I'm not doing anything wrong. Why can't I talk to you guys? Let's see if I can find it real quick. Page 77. It's here somewhere. Maybe it's page 78. Anyway, yeah, she says how she's lonely and she doesn't get to talk to anybody. Anyway, it's just the same. The point is that 2 times now we've seen her say how lonely she is. So at the very beginning of the book, we get the sense that she's a tart and she's got the eye and she's a flirt with all the guys on the ranch. But twice now she says, I'm lonely. Curly controls me. Curly doesn't let me talk to anybody. We know that she spends her time avoiding Curly because when he's over there, she's over here, and vice versa. She's always running away from him. Do you feel sympathy for her? At the beginning of the book, I kind of didn't like her. But now I feel bad for her. I think she is a truly lonely person just looking for connection. I feel a little bit of sympathy for her. All right. She goes on and talks about her dreams. Page 88. She talks about how she wanted to be an actress. And she was told she could be an actress too. And she was going to be an actress, but her mom said she couldn't. Good job, Mom. She was only 15. Don't let her run off with strangers, strange men especially. But the point is this. She wanted to be an actress. Those options dried up. She lost those opportunities. So she married Curly. And she says, I don't even like Curly. Curly's not a nice fella. So twice now she's confided about how she doesn't really like her husband. She confided about how she's lonely. Okay? And so then she starts talking with Lennie about something Lennie likes, which is the soft things. She happens to have something that is soft, her hair. She's like, here, why don't you feel my hair? It's nice and soft. And Lennie starts feeling it. And he gets so excited, he forgets his strength. He forgets how strong he is, and he's petting her hair. And he gets excited, and she gets scared. Because face it, if some big hulking monster of a man were petting your head and started getting rough and hurting you as he's petting your head, ow, stop, knock it off, hey, and then you start yelling. And Lennie, with his understanding, he freaks out, and he holds on, and that hurts. And so she's screaming, ow, and he's pulling more, she's screaming and pulling more. Just this bad situation. And he grabs her, his hand, puts his hand over her mouth, which would be even more scary for this young lady. Terrifying. And he grabs her and he shakes her and he says, don't do that. You're going to get me in trouble. I don't want you to yell. And as he's shaking her body, snap. The body flops like a fish. So, why does this matter? If we look at the first story of what happened in Weed, George says he didn't hurt her, he only scared her. This other woman, remember, it's a totally different woman. This woman in the dress, Lennie scared her. Lennie did not hurt her. Then we see Lennie break the dog's neck. Didn't mean to, but he did hurt the dog. And now we see him with the woman, with Curly's wife. And he's petting her, and he gets too violent, too strong, too rough, gets scared, and he kills Curly's wife. He breaks her neck too. It's terribly tragic. Because this woman is likable, kind of. I mean, like at the end here, she's lonely, she's friendly to Lennie, she's talking to him in a fine, friendly way. I feel bad for her, and now she's dead. And Steinbeck, the author, he gives us this, page 92 at the bottom and then 93 at the top. And the meanness and the plannings and the discontent and the ache for attention were all gone from her face. So again, we get these ands, and. Okay, just like I mentioned, I like the sentence. It's a good sentence. It's a nice, well-written sentence. But then we get this other additional detail. We are never really been told that she's pretty and simple. We've been told that she's attractive and the men are looking at her, and that George says, she's not hiding her body any. But she was pretty and simple, and her face was sweet and young. And her rouged cheeks, because she had some makeup, and her reddened lips, again, the makeup, made her seem alive and sleeping very lightly. The curls, tiny little sausages, were spread on the hay behind her head. Her lips were parted. Notice what it says. Made her seem alive. I think it's fascinating that Steinbeck says at this point that in her death, she actually looks alive. Which is heartbreaking on one hand because she's dead. And it's doubly heartbreaking because only in her death did she finally have peace. Only in her death did she finally let go of all the trauma and troubles of her life and the world. The meanness, we saw her get mean. She told Crooks, "I'd kill you so fast." She told Candy, "You're just an old disabled man." The plannings, "Oh, I'm going to leave Curley. Someday I'm going to leave him. I'm going to go be in the movies. I could have been in the movies. I could have been someone special, someone important." The discontent, "I don't like this life. I don't like my husband." The ache for attention, "Why can't I talk to you? Nobody talks to me." All of these are gone from her face. And she, in death, seems alive. It's so tragic because I was just starting to like her, because she was just starting to be real to me. She was a real person sitting there with Lennie. She was saying, "Listen to me. Here are my hopes. Here are my dreams. Here is what I want. Here are my struggles. Know me." And then Lennie kills her. We talked also about a positives. If you remember, beginning of chapter 4, it says, Crooks, comma, the stable buck, comma, had his bunk in the harness room. All right. And so here again we have the curls, comma, tiny little sausages, comma, were spread on the hay behind her head. So this is what we call an A positive, the curls, comma, tiny little sausages, comma. So it's good writing. Tiny little sausages are nouns, those are things. Curls of her hair, that's a noun, thing. So we have a noun with a more noun description. The two nouns there, side to side, back to back, makes for what we call an A positive. All right. Is that my last one? All right. It might be. So Lennie is very smart. He remembers what he's supposed to do. He remembers he's supposed to go down by the brush, and so he goes off. Did you catch the detail about George going into the bunkhouse? And then Carlson saying, "Lennie stole my gun." But this time George comes out and he puts on his denim leather jacket. All right. So anyway, we get the end here with Curley being very upset. And someone's like, "Dude, don't you think you should stay here with your dead wife and her body and be sad and mourn her and be with her?" And he's like, "No, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill the man who killed my wife." There's no sadness. It's only vengeance. Revenge is Curley's first thought, not heartbreak, not loss. Which I think might help to explain why we know her only as Curley's wife and not her name. So think about that. All right, Curley says, I'm going to catch him. I'm going to shoot him. They say, George, you better come with us so we don't think that you are part of this. So Lennie has gone off to where the story first started, page 1, the place where they camped in the very first chapter. George knows this. Curley's got his posse rounded up. They got a couple of weapons. They're going to hunt Lennie down. And as we head into chapter 6, they are hunting Lennie down with the express and spoken purpose of killing Lennie. George hopes they could bring him in. They say, look, we could just bring him in. We could lock him up. But anyway, they don't want to do that. They want to kill him. All right. Very sad, tragic chapter as Curley's wife is killed and now Lennie has to run away again. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for that. Take care for now.